Greet you all students of MA Final. This is paper 4th unit C. We have been discussing A.K. Ramanujan's poetry and it is just in the continuation. Another poem prescribed in your syllabus is Love Poem for a Wife First. So first part of this. Now, when we delve deep in Indian English poetry, now what is the peculiar aspect? Try to comprehend it. See, life is combination of both joy and sorrow. So here, see, the striking feature is that when we discussed earlier some notion of nostalgia, the notion of picture, and see the notion of picture is an institution of our life. Institution in the sense that it reflects different experiences and your mind is just it is giving different ideas and views which are based on your experiences only, practical experiences, realistic experiences. So when we would discuss both kind of aspects of human life, the poem, for instance, Love Poem for a Wife, this is the obviously his good experiences and rather some peculiar and say pleasant experiences with his wife, and especially when flashback technique is also very important. And flashback technique which is it just it gives you the picture of past experience. So that's why I reiterate this point that the poet recurrent use of picture in his poems. So autobiographical poem, of course, and flashback with splash of fond memories. Okay, now not only fond memories but different kind of, I mean, as I mentioned the point that the combination of sadness and yes, happiness. So here when we the poet's intense love for his wife is reflected when he stayed there in USA for a long period. So now what is important, now what is the theme of this particular poem? See, being concerned, the poet was curious to know his wife's childhood days, and see that obviously the relationship between husband and wife, and that kind of the metaphor of mindset is here very important. And an album of memories, depiction of interesting anecdotes, now unshared. See, just to have say some kind of bondings, some emotional bondings and familial attachment and sensational integration, particularly between husband and wife, according to A.K. Ramanujan. What is important? Just sharing your experiences, past experiences. But here, it is quite natural expression when the poet points out that unshared, why does he ever this, that unshared experiences? Because childhood experiences, they can only share, but at that time, yes, they did not know each other when they were, yes, children. So this is the point he has highlighted here. So natural and straightforward forward experience, different kind of experiences, because they did not know each other in childhood days. So this is, and the poet is so curious to know, you know, his wife when she was so small, and her experiences and depiction of different kind of, we say, anecdotes with the members of family. And we have in a way vivid imagery also here. So the poet here, see the word again, innocence predominating feature here, and unshared experiences, because they did not know each other in childhood days. But this is, again the nostalgia. See the again this recurrent the element of nostalgia throughout in his poems. And see the word picture again. Okay, so the poet actually, he's very keen to know about his wife's childhood days, father house and all that, and different kind of, say, features, different kind of, yeah, ideas and views at that time she must have shared with her members of family. So this is reminiscence technique, okay, flashback technique that poet he has employed here. Now the point is that when very interesting anecdotes, his wife must have shared with him. So in this, the particularly father's house is also very important. I mean, this is also, some kind of asset for Indian people when they discuss the members of family. Now, what is the reason behind it? Now, what is the exact reason here that we must share our experiences with each other? See, obviously, it is an sort of outlet for us, and at the same time, it enhances your relations. Yes, of course. And what is the reason? Sharing childhood days, a tremendous experience, they are essential for achieving emotional bondings, familial attachments, and yes, sensational integration. So here, the poet, he particularly, he, he lays emphasis on these kind of familial relations. And see, the point here, we have, certain now, A.K. Ramanujan, he has become popular for vivid imagery also. And this is, I think, common characteristic feature in all the Indian English poets. Okay? Be Nessim Askell or R. Parthasarathi or Kamla Das or other poets. Okay, so here vivid imagery. So we have, for instance, see very interesting imagery. See here, just have a look here. See, blueprint of your, yes, life memory. I mean, this is the particular, of your memories, different kind of, experience of your house. All the time that blueprint, it is indelibly imprinted with your memory. Okay, so going down the memory lane, and this is the point here. And see the kind, if you know the cyclic in a way, that cycle of season, cyclic element of your life. For instance, how would you explain it? Cyclic element and cyclic movement and kaleidoscopic picture and kinesthetic features. How would you mention it when the poet he has laid emphasis on the notion of picture, all that? For instance, yes, childhood days, they are followed by youth and then adult and all that, then old age. So this is this kind of a cycle, it is going on and on. And see, now, see, sharing is also, psychological aspect is also very important. When you share your experiences with your friends, see here the poet, he has obviously, he has written this poem, and the see the base of this poem, the focus of this poem rather, is of course his wife. But even if you share, this is psychological aspect in E.K. Ramanujan's poetry, that if you share your experiences, your different, combination of amalgamation of different aspects, dimensions of your life, if you tend to share it, you really feel refreshed. And obviously it paves the path of your, say, strengthening familial relations. Okay, so from that point of view, and see, obviously when you flashback technique, uh, first and foremost aspect is that you would discuss your mother. Okay, and yes, you feel refreshed. It is source of energy for you. Mother, father, father's father, I mean grandparents. This is what he, father's father, he, A.K. Ramanujan's words. He has mentioned this. The house and see the kind of your childhood days. So this kind of technique is very important. And this is unique in A.K. Ramanujan's poetry. We do not find in other poetry. Otherwise, as I mentioned the point that there are some common features among these poets. Our Parthasarthianism as Indian roots and some kind of, say, their passion for poetry and a philosophical bent of mind. And this is the relationship between an individual and the society. I mean, there are certain common features, and basically the crux is Indianness, of course. At the same time, mind you, students, that in A.K. Ramanujan's poetry, when we reiterate the point that the metaphor of family, you must comprehend this very, very important, prominent point that this sharing the different kind of experiences. Okay, so here from this point of, see the point wise you can easily understand here. And see the when we discuss the word cycle of, metaphorically, cycle of, say, seasons also, you know different seasons, and cycle of phases, and cycle of different kind of stages as well. Okay, so here, say, just have a look here, the important points, point wise you can very well understand. And then we will discuss another poem also, and another, the last one is obituary. So as I mentioned in the beginning that we have some kind of melancholic note also reflected in his poems, and that melancholic in obituary. But here in this poem, a love poem for a wife, it is in me. Which kind of technique the poet has, yes, applied? Yes, reminiscence and flashback technique. Splash of one memories and autobiographical, because now the intense love for his wife, it is reflected when he stayed there in USA. These are certain important points. You can comprehend this in just step by step and the point wise. And this is again, we have metaphor of mindset. Yes, very important. Your mind, it is an album. Have you ever thought of it, this idea? Yes, memories constantly you have. And this is, again, we have some kind of psychological device, it is. You must have some kind of outlet, and at the same time, yes, just to strengthen your relations also. If you say share with your friends and all that, depiction of interesting anecdotes, and you learn a lot through this kind of sharing. Okay, so then we have another point is, we have vivid imagery in his poems. Image of tree, recurrent, the notion of tree. And again, in most of his poems, so we have particularly this, I mean, image in his blueprint of the house also. See, have you ever noticed that, or have you ever felt rather that, see, if you go to your, say, native place, and there some kind of see, realistic touches there, some kind of you have fond memories, and then of course it becomes permanent treasure for you. you would be reminded of it many times. So obviously it is a blueprint. So this is again metaphor of blueprint of your house, okay? And sharing childhood days. Now, what is the reason of it? What is the purpose of it? Yes, it is essential. Yes, according to A.K. Ramanujan, and we also agree with that. Identical experience with the poet. That yes, of course, it is essential for achieving emotional bondings. Okay, so this is the metaphor of family when we keep discussing this. So it is important for, yes, familiar attachment obviously, and sensational integration also. So these are certain important points. Now another poem as obituary. Okay, see, obituary, this poem. Now this is say this poem, obituary, it appeared in relationship, and it is composed in mock ironic tone. Okay, so this is literary means you must be knowing it. A notice of anybody's death, especially in newspaper, and we generally avoid such certain kind of topics and certain kind of we do not want to say all this. So here, but the poet, he has written particularly this poem on the death of his father, said demise of his father. So that is and he also mentioned the poverty and all that, and his father, he did not leave any huge bank balance and other material possession and legacy. But what is important, the legacy of human values, that is really very important. And the poet here is a very touching and moving, this and in newspapers obituary, this particularly remembering his father. The poet, he says that he did many things in life, say entire life. He devoted to hard, I know, hard, he was so hard working and diligent. But just it is this confined to, this experience is confined to newspaper. And this deep love and reverence to his father, it is reflected. And then other people, they are using this newspaper for their other works, and say some kind of say whatever be the case, insignificant events and all that. The people, I mean, other people's, they are not concerned about it, they don't bother about it, that this is obituary of so and so. I mean, that kind of very very touching and moving. So now in this poem, the poet, he in a way tends to link the familiar familial aspect with traditional and historical. Yes, this is very very important. Familial, traditional, and historical. And that's why it has great universal appeal. Thank you.